I'm going to be doing a journal page for you today, but before I do that, I have to prep my pages. So I'll put down some masking tape down the center, down the signature here, to prevent wet media from seeping through. And then to create a nice working foundation, I'm going to layer on some gesso. Gesso is thick and white and creates a nice tooth, something for my paint to adhere to. So I'll do that, and then before it's dry, I'm going to add some texture to the pages. This is just corrugated cardboard, and I'm going to sort of randomly stamp it down on the page. I don't really have a plan. I'm just trying to create some ridges and bumps and texture on the page. And I find that it's really fun to use some sort of ordinary household items when you're doing this. So this is a credit card, or maybe it was a room key. And again, I'm just making random lines in the gesso. And I also have some bottle caps that I'm going to use to make some circles, again with no plan, just trying to create some texture. Okay, this is looking pretty dry. Now what I wanted to do is I wanted to add some watercolor. So I've got a inexpensive set of watercolors here, and I'm going to use sort of a blue-greeny kind of color, one of my most favorite colors. And I get a relatively decent amount of paint on the brush and then just brush it over the page, adding a little bit more water. I'm going for kind of a wash effect, and a wash is simply a very light coating of color, a lot of water added to your medium. And so I've added the water, and then I'm going to tip the book here and try to get that paint to cooperate and drip down. As I'm doing this, I realized I forgot to put a paper towel beneath my book here to catch some of those drips. So that's what I'm reaching to do now. And once I've got that there, I'll continue to sort of tap the book on the table, trying to direct that water down, that paint down, and there's not enough here for me, so I'm going to add a little bit more paint and a little bit more water, and just continuing to do that until I'm happy with the way that it looks. Once I got that color down, I think I'm going to need to add a little bit more color, and I think I'm going to add a yellowish color here, or an orangey color is what I wanted to add. And you'll see I sort of made a classic beginner's mistake. I didn't really clean off my paintbrush. In fact, I dipped it in the blue watery stuff left over there first, and then I put my paintbrush right on the orange paint, and that gave me, as you can see on the palette there, this green color, which is not really what I had intended. So I dried off my paintbrush a little bit and then went and started again. I really should be taking some paint out of the paint palette and putting it on a separate palette to work, so that I don't risk muddying up my colors like I've done in here. But like I said, beginner mistake, and I'll know for next time. And besides, it's a happy accident because I kind of liked the color that I ended up with. It looks a little muddy brown here, but then when it starts to drip, and again, to get that to drip more, I'm going to add a lot of water. When it started to drip, it actually was kind of a nice goldeny brown color, which I thought went really well with this blue. I knew I wanted to put a face on this page, but I didn't really trust myself to draw it directly onto the page. I'm taking a class by Dina Wakley called Facing the Facts, and one of the tricks that she suggests, if you can't get the hang of actually drawing a face free form, is to trace one. So you sort of train your hand on how to draw a face. So I traced this image from Tracy Burning's book, 100 Girls on Cheap Paper. I really liked the way that it turned out, and I traced it onto deli paper. Deli paper is a dry wax paper, not the kind you can get in the market. It's dry wax on both sides, and you can get it in bulk like I did, say at Costco. Now I'm going to use this gel matte medium to adhere the face to the page, and this one is by Claudine Helmuth. It's getting discontinued by Ranger this year, but I like it because it's really lightweight and it spreads really easily. And here's the reason that I did this on this deli paper. Once I actually adhere this to my page, you're not going to be able to tell that I didn't draw it right on the page. The deli paper is semi-transparent and the matte medium is transparent, so it just sort of disappears. Really sneaky, huh? I'm really loving the way this turns out, and as you can see, as I smooth this out, it basically completely disappears from the page. Pretty cool. Now this face needs a little bit of dimension, so I'm going to use this yellowy paint color and just add some shading, and I'm going to speed this up so we can get on to the stenciling. Well, I'm pretty much done at this point, although at the top I notice it's a little bare, so I add some more paint drips. Can you see how much I love this technique? I really, really do. So I'm pretty happy with what I've done. I've got some stenciling, I've got paint drips, I've added my magic sketch on the deli paper. Then to finish it off, I just add a little bit of paint using my fingers around the edges of the page to sort of give it some final definition. And then I think I'm all done. And now at this point I have a little confession to make. I set this down and went away, and when I came back to see if it was dry, I realized it really wasn't done. I thought it was still a little bit bare. So I added some more stenciling, some brighter flowers as you can see. I journaled a little bit over the page. She wondered if she could. And then I thought the facing page looked too bare, so I stenciled all over that. And I was really, really happy with the way that it looked. And I went to turn the videotape off and realized I hadn't started it again, so you missed out on that part. But anyway, it's all done. I'm very happy with the way it turned out, and now I'm ready to move on to week 3 of my documented life.